Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Lyoko Retrospectives. And today we're going to be discussing episode 45 of Code Lyoko Cold War. In this episode, Xana screws with the weather. He manages to take control of satellite dishes, like the ones you'd locate that broadcast signals, and through them he's able to project his ghost into the sky and just essentially screws with the weather. That's pretty much causing it to snow. In the beginning, it seems fine, just like a snow day. But as time goes on, the blizzard gets worse with cold. The blizzard just keeps getting worse, and the temperature just keeps dropping. As such, the group has to get back into Lyoko, and unfortunately, has to get into Lyoko and fix everything. Unfortunately, the group is kind of separated. Jeremy and Alita are at the factory themselves due to things that are happening in the first half of the episode, which I'll talk about that later. And as a result, due to the cold, it's not real. Things are kind of they're due to the cold. The rest of the group is just trapped at the school. Eventually, they do manage to escape, by getting warmer clothes. But the blizzard just keeps getting worse and worse, made worse by the fact that a tree that in the cold they end up coming across a car that has Sissy and Nicholas that has Sissy and Herb in it. Sorry, I keep getting their names mixed up. As well as this producer guy called TV. I'll get to him later as well. And while they're helping them get out, a tree falls on the car and pins Yumi underneath it. So Ulrich stays behind to try and help her get out while Odd goes to the factory. In the meantime, Aelita goes into the factory herself because time is of the essence here to try. But unfortunately, and while she tries to do the best she can with what she has, unfortunately, Xana has an ace up his sleeve this time. It turns out that with the various return to the past the group has done, Xana has managed to get strong enough so that he's able to send more monsters out after them. In this case, the flying mantas, which originally were exclusive to Sector 5. As such, it becomes a race against the clock as it just keeps getting colder and colder, and people are just getting... And so it's just more standard Lyoko fare at this point. Eventually, but of course, they do manage to save everything as Odd managed to get into Lyoko, and while Aelita was almost got her memory drained by the Schifozoa, Odd managed to save her. They managed to outwit the manta rays who tried to use floating mines to try and stop them, but thankfully Odd was able to outwit it and open a path right to the tower, and while they were able to eventually fix the problem and warm everything up, unfortunately Yumi succumbed too much to her cold and essentially passed out, and as such they're able to do a return to the past before she keels over. So, yeah. Okay, first off, I think this episode is good, but mostly in just kind of the execution. The plan is, of course, just kind of something you would see Xan do in season 1, but it's a really damn good plan. Because remember how back in season 1 there's the episode where Xana made a music that when you listened to it, it paralyzed you to the point where you couldn't move, and to make matters worse, just bit by bit, your organs would shut down until eventually you just died? That's kind of a similar case. I feel like that this episode kind of captures that same primal fear as at first it does feel like it's just a snow day, but as the blizzard keeps getting worse, unfortunately, the need to stay warm continues to grow as it continues just dropping outside. Like, first it's just tolerable, then it drops to below 20, then to below 40, below 50, and by the time that they managed to fix everything, it dropped to below 90. It got to the point where all the students in the school were pretty much just huddled around the furnace in the basement just to keep warm. And even that only did so much before they all began to pass out as well. And on top of that, when Yumi was trapped in there, it genuinely gives you the chills, not just because it's the snow, but because you see her kind of succumbing to the cold. You see Ulrich doing his best to try and get the tree off of her, but unfortunately, it's too big. He's not strong enough to lift it. He tries getting a pull and chain to pull it off, but as everything gets colder, the chain begins freezing, so it snaps. He tries it again, and it just breaks in half because the whole thing is just frozen over. It is just genuinely terrifying, and seeing them all just succumbing to the cold little by little, it kind of makes you. It kind of does make you scared. I think the scene in this episode that I think really exemplified that was when Yumi was when Yumi was trapped under the tree and said, or please, I need to sleep, because that's a bad sign, like a really bad sign. If you know anything about cold and succumbing to frostbite, you know that if you start to fall asleep, then you pretty much have lost. You are dead. You might as well. That's it. So as people start getting more and more tired, as their bodies start shutting down in this, it genuinely creeps you out and gives you the chills. And so it's a nice little crunch time. Like and I feel like that's just another thing about and I think that's another thing about, and that's one of the best aspects of the episode. It's a really good plan just because it taps into that primal fear of the cold, being trapped out in the cold, nothing warm to protect you, cut off from everyone else, and just unfortunately no help. As you see everything continue to get worse, you see just how badly everyone is being affected. Jeremy and Aelita are unaffected because I'm guessing the lab has its own internal system because they didn't suffer anything. But seeing the students start to just freeze and then have to get blankets, and them having to get just move down more and more, and even that's failing. And then even when everything is over and Yumi looks like she's just about ready to pass on, it's just genuinely disturbing, and it just scares me. I like that. I like that. I think that's good. And so seeing everything just get worse and worse, I think really does add a level of urgency that helps push the episode forward. On top of that, this episode is starting to show signs that all their returns to the past are starting to show as like I said, Xana was able to unleash the manta rays was able to unleash the manta rays outside of Sector 5. As a result, and on top of that, at the end of the episode, they do like I said, they do a return to the past, so that's just another thing that helps out Xana. So it's essentially just getting worse. They have to be weary about, because it shows that Xana is getting stronger, and that by the end, if things keep going, he could probably grow more powerful than they can handle. So that is a nice little thing that this episode did as well. But with that said, let's talk about the first half of the episode. Like I said during the summary, when the snowstorm hit, Jeremy and Aelita were in the factory while the rest of the kids went back to school. Unfortunately, well, the reason for that was that when they were in school, Jeremy's program that detects when a tower is activated began to act up, saying that there was a tower activated in the mountain region. However, when they went there, the tower deactivated itself and it started popping up over and over. As a result, and this is what ultimately led to the group separating. Now, from an in-universe standpoint, I think the reason why Xana did this was to create that level of confusion, make it look like there was a glitch in the program. As such, he activated several towers, and then just to make the group think that there was something wrong, and so Jeremy and Aelita would have to look into it. But as a result of that, and so as such, when he got what he wanted, that's when he unleashed his real attack. Which, to be fair, that's good planning. That's good planning, and still showcases Xana as getting smarter. But from a narrative standpoint, it makes the first half of the episode feel like filler, because it really doesn't have anything to do with the second half of the episode beyond getting the group separated. Otherwise, it's just there. It feels like it's just there to pad out time. Again, smart planning on smart planning on behalf of the villain, but the first half just kind of feels like it doesn't really feel like it has anything to do with anything. It's just there to screw with the group or whatever. Now, if this becomes important later, if the glitch was a genuine problem in the system, if that was a genuine glitch, I mean, then I'm hoping it's revisited later, but for now it just feels like a problem. And then we get to another problem, the character of TV. TV is a television producer whose initials are literally TV. And unfortunately, he's meant to be kind of the B-plot, as he comes to Caddick with the intent on filming the school and making it look like that the system is broken and the students aren't learning anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is, he's the stereotypical egotistical jackass that you would expect, as he as when he goes to the classroom, he interrupts class, wants to get a panoramic shot, and tries to make the students look at the school as failing by trying to find the kids with the lowest GPA. Unfortunately, he asked Jeremy first, who is Jeremy, so he probably has one of the highest GPAs in the class. And likewise, throughout the episode, he's just a dick. He's just a douche. He's just an asshole in every sense of the word. Like he cuts in line in the cafeteria and takes the most food, resulting in Odd getting barely anything. When the blizzard hits, he wants to just ditch the school as his camera woman tries filming everyone. Saying, oh, come on, these are just a bunch of kids who are trying to walk around a heater. We want action. This isn't worth me. I think we just need to go back to the city where all the real action is. And when she doesn't want to follow him, he says that she's fired. And then when he does end up crashing into the snowbank, when they go back to the school, he tries to actually steal a kid's blanket just for himself. Fuck you, guy. I'm sorry that I did that. But I'm sorry I did that, you too. But screw that guy. But the problem is that that's all he is, a nuisance. There's nothing he really adds to the plot. He's just there to be an annoying prick. Otherwise, he's just there. Just there. It's annoying. That's the kind of a problem. That's I think I would call that a problem. Since he really doesn't add anything to the story, he is just there to be a prick and then eventually get meatballs thrown at his head when they reverse time. Otherwise, that's a problem, I suppose. I guess you could call that a problem. It's like he wasn't even really that much of an obstacle. The group was able to get around him very easily. And again, to be fair, you could make the argument that it was because of him that Yumi unintentionally wound up getting trapped beneath a tree. But again, they probably could have written that. They could have had it be that when they were on their way, that when the group was on the way to the factory, they probably had like a big wind and it hit a tree that trapped Yumi. So, I don't know. He was just there, and he was just annoying, so... on that. So... I don't know. I guess those are problems with the episode. Like, narratively, the first half feels like it was unneeded and kind of felt like there for padding. TV is an annoying character who adds nothing to the story and could have easily been taken out, but otherwise, the rest of the episode is good. Again, the fear of the cold and the primal fear of the cold is definitely a great threat, and seeing everything get worse as people begin freezing over is definitely terrifying and, well, for lack of a better word, chilling to watch. And on top of that, I like that we see a development in the episode as we start to finally see more consequences from all the return to the pasts. So, yeah, all in the whole, good episode. First half could have done without the first half, but otherwise, yeah, overall just a good episode. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.